responsible for transport of oxygen from the lungs to body's tissues and removal of carbon dioxide in the reverse direction. Your major component of red blood cells is a protein named hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is composed of 4 polypeptide chains, each of which is bound to a red pigment molecule called heme. Heme binds oxygen to a ferrous iron in its center. Thus, a molecule of hemoglobin can bind up to 4 molecules of oxygen. Binding of oxygen is a cooperative process. Binding at one site changes the protein conformation in a way that facilitates further binding at other sites. Formation of the hemoglobin-oxygen complex, known as oxyhemoglobin, is reversible depending on oxygen partial pressure. Oxygen binds in the lungs where its pressure is high and dissociates in tissues where its pressure is low. While hemoglobin is responsible for transport of most of the oxygen, it only carries a small portion of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide binds to the polypeptide part of hemoglobin and not the heme, but its binding changes the conformation of the molecule and decreases its affinity for oxygen. In other words, the two gases compete for binding on hemoglobin. Oxygen binding is favored in the lungs, while carbon dioxide binding is more favorable in tissues. The majority of carbon dioxide is transported in the blood in the form of bicarbonate ions. Conversion of carbon dioxide to carbonic acid, which dissociates into bicarbonate and hydrogen ions, is catalyzed by an enzyme present in red blood cells called carbonic anhydrase. Bicarbonate ions then diffuse out to the plasma to be exchanged for chloride ions, while hydrogen ions bind to hemoglobin that has released oxygen. When red blood cells reach the lungs, the reverse happens. High oxygen pressure favors its binding to hemoglobin, which releases hydrogen ions and carbon dioxide. The same carbonic anhydrase then converts bicarbonate and hydrogen ions back to carbon dioxide to be breathed out.